How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we're on the second episode of my Cube Draft 101 reboot series, covering all the information you can need about draft, about how to play it if you haven't already tried it out, or some tips to help you improve if you do try it out and want to just basically get a little bit better. And today we're just going to cover a very nice little topic, because in the last one, being the first episode, we covered what is Cube Draft, basically again a little bit explainer with an introduction. And now we're going to cover a nice little topic to help improve on that, and that is, how do you draft? So that's probably a question that most people see when they think about drafting. If they haven't tried it but seen it in passing, they want to know, how do you draft? So when it comes to drafting and with the cube, essentially, it is a limited format. You got to remember that cube is a limited format, but the approach to constructing a successfully drafting a deck in it is similar to building a constructed deck. And what I mean by that is not how it is now in constructed, where you mostly just like throw in an archetype, you just put that together with a few staples and you're done. I mean back during the early days of Dragon Ball, mostly until you get to the Unison Warrior series, where deck building was a big key thing for Dragon Ball. And drafting synergy between your deck and leader is absolutely essential. And simply taking a load of good cards will leave you with a deck that's chock full of strong cards in it, but it can still then lack any synergy with your leader card. And cube decks that perform really well mostly resemble constructed decks and are more streamlined with their overall strategy, and that is normally also given in how the cube is built as well, depending on the archetypes. So some little tips to help with drafting, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over like little tips with drafting, because we already covered about exactly how you draft, but when it comes to the draft, like how do you draft well and what things can help. And the first little thing we can go over is reading the draft. So with reading draft is when you draft a cube, you want to try and learn what is included in the deck in the cube before playing, and look for cards in the draft that are keys to specific archetypes. Because most cubes, even if it's Highlander or if it's not and it's just more like a focus cube, there can be certain archetypes in the deck. Like if you see my cube, you got things like the Harudegan and U7 and things like that. And what you want to do is look for the key parts of the archetype, see if you can find them. And what you want to do with that is identify what archetypes may be present, and then try to draft with a preference for an archetype that you enjoy playing. Some people might just like playing different things. Like for myself, I like to draft something different every time, try out all the different things in the cube, so that way I can then go on to improve the cube, make it better. If I find some lacking a lot more than others, or some to be a bit too strong, change it up to make sure it's a bit more balanced. But some people might really enjoy certain things, like some people might enjoy playing apes, some people might enjoy playing Harudegan, things like that. So if you've got a specific type, have a look and see what's in the cube, and check out what's actually in there, because what this does is this helps you draft with a focused deck in mind. And then when you read the draft for open archetypes, you look for more open archetypes than you do for more open colors. So if you've seen a lot of cards go around for a certain archetype, you can kind of predict that no one's really picking this up. Whereas with a color, you can it's a lot more easier than with a color seeing what colors are being drafted. You can see more regarding that. So that is really regarding reading the draft. And the next topic we want to go over is dripping with cantrips. So cantrips is something like was more of a magic term for the game. It's essentially to refer to a card that replaces itself. So you'll notice from most card games, like little one-drop cards that only cost 1 energy. You play them, and they have an auto or some effect that says draw a card, and that's essentially what it is. Just cantrips, cheap cards to play, which replace themselves and get you things on board. And in this case, Dragon Ball, sometimes it's something you can get on board to actually swing with, or something you can then just play, replace a card from your hand, so by drawing a card, and then use them as a combo to help defend yourself or push through some damage. And in the draft, cantrips, especially ones with extra effects, are really, really good. So when you're looking for cantrips, you want to look for just having ones that just normal cantrip, play, draw a card, is fair enough. But ones with extra effects can go an extra step further. And what they do is they allow you to dig deeper through your deck, and this can actually lead you to finding key pieces to your archetype or strategy that you've built up from your cube pool. So having a balance with cantrips as well allow you to dig deeper, and find those pieces. And with most cubes, they're designed with that in mind and include many cards that draw when played or used. If you look at mine, there's a lot of cantrips, and if you end up drafting with barely any cantrips, you'll find yourself not drawing as much as, say, someone who's got a load of cantrips that can then draw through, because the quicker you can get through your deck to find those key pieces, the quicker you can pull off your strategy. So that's one nice little handy tip. Next one we have is no colors like multicolors. So when drafting multicolored cards, drafting multicolored cards can allow you to access more color combinations. But one thing is they come at a price and potentially being dead in certain situations. Drawing them early can allow you to essentially charge them with little drawback to produce a range of color color energy, whereas drawing them late in the game can end up turning or ending the game. What I mean by that is either turning the game by providing you with a very strong card, or ending the game by, if you're defending yourself and drawing into multicolours that you don't want or can't use, you can end up basically just bringing your own downfall. And there's a potential to drafting 4 colours, and that is to have access to almost any available strategy in the cube. However, this is something that can be extremely risky with a massive payoff, or it can make you really irate. So bear that in mind when you draft multicolours, is that they come with a price, because as you see in Dragon Ball Super, they come with a term called energy exhaust, which means when you charge them, they come in rested instead of active, like most energy. So there's that negative side. Whereas if you draft them early, you can not worry about that, because where it's so early, you can charge them as your turn 1 charge. You're not likely going to be killed turn 1 in the cube, and then have it later to then have set up energy with 2 colors. So that's one benefit of multicolours. And next we have the next topic being taking a gamble. So in the cube, you can afford to take some more speculative picks, and unlike a normal draft, almost every card is a great pick in the cube draft because it's tailored to actually be a selective list. So there's no potential like you would getting sealed or anything like that, getting some cards that are actually terrible to draft with, or never use, or can never be used, or can't be used with your given strategy, given your leader. And you'll easily have a deck full of playable cards by the end of the pool. So by the end of the draft, you should have drafted a card of playable cards. At least every card can be playable. And making a pick on a particular combo piece isn't as bad a risk like it is in other drafts. Like, one thing you can do is, if you feel like a card is unlikely to be picked, or is more focused on archetype, you can leave that to grab something that's more likely to be picked and give a little gamble to hope it can come back around. Sometimes that will pay off, sometimes it won't, because someone might actually grab it for a given reason. But it's always nice to take that little gamble, because sometimes it can really pay off and give you 2 great cards from a single pack. And that brings us to the last topic as well, being closing up shop. So most cubes will have a fair few higher cost cards, since these are often where the most powerful and game ending effects are in the game. And if you manage to draft into enough cantrips for your early plays, then they will generally help you to stay alive long enough by giving you cards to help you dig through to find and play some big boss cards to bring out a close. Because while having a load of cantrips and a load of small things can whittle down and put a little bit of pressure on, sometimes it's not going to be enough to close up shop and finish a game. And whereas in cube it can go a lot longer in turns than it can go in the current constructed, you can still, some boss monsters can come on. Clean It Shop, one of my favourite ones in the cube is when you're drafting green. You've got the Ribrian Avatar, I can't remember what it's called now, Avatar of Affection, which comes down for 5 energy, is a triple striker, wipes your opponent's board so they don't have any blockers or anything to defend themselves, and you can swing through and push that last 3 damage if you get your opponent down to 3. It can be a real great turn ender, clearing board, setting up and pushing through to finish off. I mean, a 30k base is quite nice. So things like that, you don't want to just be selecting little cantrip stuff, you want to also include some finishes as well to close up. And in each archetype, there are quite a few, and there are quite strong ones that have quite a big payoff for a big cost. And one thing you should do is, lastly, just like studying any other format, try to learn which cards are high performers, lower performers, and what potential traps can be set in the cube. So remember to look out for that. But that's it for this one. So hopefully that gives you a bit more information about when drafting, how to really draft, a few tips on what to grab, how to go about it, or how have a little bit of a strategy going into it if you do try it out if you haven't already. But that is it for this episode. So we'll have another episode next time covering how to build a cube. So if you're not sure how to build a cube or want to try and build your own, hopefully the next episode will give you a bit of help there and be a little more beneficial. So hopefully this series has been really nice, helpful for anybody trying to go with draft cubing, either taking part in mine, taking part in your own, building your own, and hopefully this series will be better information than my previous one. So once again, thank you for watching. Feel free to like the video if you enjoy this series and find it helpful. Comment down below if you have any questions that I haven't covered. And lastly, remember to subscribe to the channel. Keep updated with my future content and all my content going on. And it helped me get to my goal of 1,000 subs, which we're over halfway in there now. And if you check out my 500 giveaway video, you can see what I'm going to do if I get to 1,000 subs. So once again, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.